Just 4 players left. Earl Strickland takes on Ismael Paez, and Corey Jewell faces Fong Pang Chow. We are now down then to the last day and the last night of action here at the Cardiff International Arena in this terrific World Pool Championship. Earl Strickland of the USA first up this afternoon against Ismael Paez. And then the second semi-final, it's Corey Jewell, who beat Steve Davis, of course, last night against Fong Pang Chow. That's our second match this afternoon. Hello, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome once again to Cardiff here in South Wales. Sadly, we're almost at the end of the trail, but still an awful lot to be decided. And you'll have noticed from that list, of course, that Steve Davis, sadly, no longer with us. It's been a terrific week for Steve and all his supporters. And here now is a look back at what a terrific week he had here in Cardiff. Well, he's smiling now. I'm not quite sure how you were feeling last night, Steve. It was a sad way to end, in a way, 11-7, but you'd had a great week.
Well, any defeat's sad, but I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed, but it has been a great week. To think that I could have got knocked out in the qualifying stages so easily, and then to realise how much enjoyment I had afterwards.
Yes.
But probably on reflection, a small point, although probably some people might disagree with me, it would probably been too early for me to win this tournament, so therefore for the world of pool it's probably better that a recognised pool player wins this year, but in future years perhaps I'd be allowed to win. I've paid my dues now, perhaps.
Absolutely. You've done so well in the previous 3 matches. You'd beaten the defending champion, 2 former world champions. I wonder if yesterday you almost went into that match, in many people's eyes, as the favourite, which was wrong.
Well, yes, and of course playing against a great American player and a new kid on the block who's obviously causing some waves out there. And I think perhaps the reputation that had been built up in a short space of time probably helped Corey to relax as well. So perhaps I mugged the first couple because I wasn't supposed to win.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden I then had a reputation to keep up myself.
He came in here straight afterwards and was very generous in his praise towards you, said what a terrific tournament you'd had, and he was full of admiration for you, and he's still not sure quite how he won it, but I mean he enjoyed it, that was the main thing.
Well, it was a great match. I mean, every match of 9 balls there's a story involved, and the story was for me that I got off to a very good start but didn't press home that advantage.
Yeah.
Let Corey back in, and he took full advantage. It was a great performance, I think, from 4-0 down.
Is he ready to go on and take this title, or is he just... He is. Right, well, end of that one then. What about Strickland?
Yeah, he can. I think he's a bit worried about Corey.
Yeah, everyone's worried about Corey.
Because he, perhaps people aren't all perhaps sure on how much he can achieve.
Yeah.
He may be that he's the next generation of players coming through, and if he were to win this, he'd go to another level. But of course, around the world, there are so many great pool players.
OK, Steve, more from you in just a moment. But right now, let's, apart from Steve's match, of course, there were some terrific games here yesterday. Let's now have a look at those. So that's what happened in the other matches. Steve, just a brief word from you before we go on to these semis. How do you see them going? Just the first one up, Paez Strickland.
Well, you've got a guy in Paez who's a complete enigma to me. He's got the worst snooker cue action you've ever seen in your life, but he knows what he's doing on the pool table. I should think you could learn a lot from him against Earl Strickland, who is just jam-packed full of animal instincts, and he lives by that. He's just full of emotion when he's playing. You may not show it, but he made a ball and he just was screaming at himself.
And Strickland the favourite in your eyes?
Yes, he's probably the favourite in his own eyes as well for this. But that guy next to him there, he knows what he's doing on this table. He's a clever man, a very clever man. Thanks
very much indeed, Steve. I know you've got to nip off and do some commentary for us, so let's right now go to John McDonald.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cardiff International Arena. Matchroom Sport proudly presenting Victor Chandler World Pool Championship. Sanctioned here by the WPA, and a very warm welcome to our viewers joining us live here on Sky Sports, and our sports fans joining us around the world. It's the semi-final stages of race 2-11. Your referee in charge is Miss Michaela Tabb. So let's welcome both players then. Firstly, from down Mexico way, Moro Ismael Paez. And from the USA, 5 times champion of the world, Earl the Pearl Strickland.
Ismael Paez and Earl Strickland. Safe to say that you don't want to go out for a cup of tea. You're apt to miss a couple racks with these two. Steve, hustled your way over from the studio over to the comm box, and this really is going to be a lot of fun to watch this one.
I think so, it really is. And it'll be interesting to see if Paez can keep with Strickland and unnerve him. I think that's the way he can beat him. His actions and his way around the table, I'm sure he's used to playing. Earl Strickland's used to playing Paez, but he can unnerve you. If he starts winning and you're thinking, why on earth is he beating me? You shouldn't be playing on the same table in one respect.
And he's certainly capable of pulling off that big shot, too, that can unnerve anybody. And Strickland, as we talked about last evening, he does tend to walk a very fine line. And when things are working, he is as brilliant as anyone that's ever held a cue stick in their hand.
Yes, Earl Strickland could win this tournament at a canter if things go right for him. It's when things go wrong that there's the problems are going to sort of arise. So, off to a good start for Strickland. Probably see him go over to the right-hand side of the table with a loop bridge, not using the side of the table.
Racks. First rack, Earl Strickland to break.
Well, the break's been so big. We'll see how Earl kicks things off here. The opening rack. Still a race to 11, our first semi-final, and Strickland looking in prime position here early, Steve.
Yes, although he would be very upset to see that 3 go behind the 8. But there's possibilities of playing a safety off the 3, or the outside chance of even making the 8 down the rail off the 3. But the way he was lining up for that, as if he was going to try and put a safety on Paez early, unless it banks. You just don't know with these pool players. There's so many options on the table, and everybody reads the game completely differently.
Well, I even thought there might have been an outside possibility of it going if he got the cue ball a little further into the center of the table, but I don't know if he's come far enough to be able to attack from here.
You'd be hoping that you can see at least a full ball there. Very much looks like he's going to try and hope to miss the colours, which he does successfully. May not have enough weight to get a good snooker on Paez. Paez may be able to manoeuvre that white ball round. No, he certainly can't. And the brown 7 also comes into play here as well. The one cushion escape is on. But of course, Paez must make sure he doesn't kiss into that brown 7.
Yeah, that's what he's just had a look at. So whatever he does here, he's going to have to try and create an unnatural angle to get into that 3. Possibly even a lot of bottom if he can get into the cue ball enough.
I think he may put a lot of left-hand side, may just better flick. I think he tried to pot that. Speed. But there, notice how clever he's played there, Jim. Something I would perhaps try and hit that harder. Look what he's done there. He knows if he hits it thick, he's just going to send that 3 to the rail. And it's a safety shot. Some clever shots these pool players come up with.
Well, he's got an awful lot of experience. 35 years of professional, Paez, so he won't be giving anything away to Strickland in that regard. That was a very nifty little shot. That 8 was in an awkward position. Earl has used the 8 to take the 3 back into the center, and he's buried the cue ball behind the 5.
Straight out with a jump. He's going immediately for the jump. They didn't even change cues here. Wow. That's a lot tougher to jump with a normal cue than with one of the break cues. The break cues, great shot, just landed on it, chipped on it. The break cues that the players use are very light in weight, so they don't actually, you don't power the white ball off the table, but with the whole cue, you've got too much weight there really to play the jump shot as well, so much harder shot to be able to play.
Really have been good early signs for Strickland. He looks settled.
Straight away he looks settled. Yeah, he doesn't look nervous this morning. He came straight out of the starting blocks with a good stroke.
In many people's eyes, a good favorite to lift the crown here in Cardiff. Well, this is just the sort of way that Earl would have wanted to start this opening rack. Such an important match in the biggest event of the year. And confidence is everything. So he opens accounts here. Rack number 1 of a possible 21 to Earl the Pearl. He's 1-0 over Mexico's Ismael Paez.
Well, I think, Jim, this is the biggest tournament of Earl Strickland's life, and for everybody, this World Championship in the last year has gone from strength to strength. And I think all the players were desperate to win this more than any other tournament we've ever had in the history of 9-ball.
Yes, it's been very difficult to hide on this one, Steve.
Lots of frayed nerves and lots of players walking around wishing they were in the final stages, but still staying around to watch.
Well, he's gone over the other side. Now, he was successful in his opening break.
Yeah, but he made a couple of balls in the bottom pockets. That's the last resort, I think. He's trying to make balls in the top 4 pockets. And if he works out a pattern for those, then he'll stick with it.
Oh, he nailed that break. If he doesn't get anything here, it won't be from lack of effort. Park that cue ball in the middle and doesn't quite get as far through as some of the other players here, but a lot of power. Now, it almost looks here like he can play the 1 into the 6, possible combination, if it in fact isn't on, which it looks like it could be as well.
Paez just saying something to Michaela Tab, our referee, before he played that shot. I'm not absolutely sure what he was actually talking to her about.
There's one thing I get a kick out of watching Paez is the movement once he's gotten through the white.
Well, he does a lot of body movement and a lot of cue movement offline. But one thing he does do is he takes his time before he does play the shot. He's quite deliberate in this part of the cue action. It's all afterwards that things happen. They can affect your cueing. He's gone a bit straight on this pink 4. But he likes to hustle around the table. He likes to be active. He likes to walk confidently, get moving.
We always like to say, you know, important that you send a message to your opponent. You know, a confident stride around the table certainly does that.
I think that's why he uses the squeaky chalk. But even that sounds confident, doesn't it, when you've got a squeak on it? Quality strike there.
Well, pots like that will go a long ways to helping Ismael Paez settle into this one.
Bit more talcum powder on the hands.
Took a long time over that one too, and right into the heart of the pocket.
Coming round to see where he wants to be on that brown 7. A bit of backwards and forwards to be done here. Up for the brown 7, back for the black 8, then up for that most important ball in the game of 9-ball, the yellow and white stripy one that so many people have a problem with. Stunning the ball up and down the table. Would be very unlucky to go in the middle pocket here. I think he's hooked himself on. Oh, well.
Well, I can't believe that. He has to feel like somebody just put a dagger through his heart watching that cue ball tease him before falling in. That is cruel.
The angle that he came onto that pocket from is nigh on impossible to go in off with a square jaw of the front part. I mean, on the snooker table, they can slip in off the rounded jaw, but not on a square cut jaw. Or the point, as it's called, on a pool table. And Earl Strickland getting off to a nice start. That didn't have to do much in this frame, and he's got a 2-0 lead.
Mopping up the last 3 balls for 2-0. Strickland obviously dodged a bullet in rack number 2.
He's a very happy young lad. Was that Earl Strickland's book, Shooting Pool?
Was. Picture Earl on the cover. There he is. Well, he said his book could be out this week.
Talks a lot about there's Paez staring into oblivion after what happened, I think, there. Great shot to get on the 7, missing the 9, guaranteeing position on the brown 7 apart from... For a second there, it looked like he was going to be angled and snookered by the middle
Earl
pocket, but
Strickland's
even worse was to
by 2
come.
racks to 0.
He was angled and then plop. Of course, the cruelest part about this game is if you lose the rack, you give your opponent the break. So it's a double whammy. Changing sides again. You like that, more action there of the top balls, even though he didn't make one. That 9 was going towards the pocket.
That's probably how Ismael Paez feels right now. The wheels are spinning. He's got to try and maintain a positive outlook in this, as difficult as that might be for him at the moment.
Great strike from Paez. Straight back with authority. Gives himself a chance in this rack. That one ball's going to be going in the same direction. And perhaps a rack that, even though it looks a bit of a mess, isn't that complicated.
Now, how important is this visit for Paez? What better way to erase the memory of that cruel in-off than to complete the clearance here? I hope he's got a lot of that chalk there on that table, Steve, the amount he's using. Wants that cue to glide through that hand, that bridge hand, nice and smooth. Earl Strickland obviously wears a glove, so Paez, with his hand sweating a little bit, doesn't want to put a glove on it. That's what he uses that white chalk for.
I just think that the WPA, the association, should ban the squeaky chalk. I know I'm going on about it, but it's just grating in my ears. I get that shiver down the back of my spine every time he chalks up. Oh dear. Perfect. This 3 now goes past the 4. Although he's given it a good look. Oh, it's a bit tighter than I thought, but that does go in. Difficult to see that knuckle of the pocket, the left-hand knuckle of this pocket right in front of our eyes, but it's probably by about the brass, where the brass line is, I think. You think, Jim, about there? That's where...
Looks to me like he's got about half of this pocket, the inside half.
Yeah, he's got about...
Play it off that left knuckle, the one we can't see.
Oh, it's a bit wide.
Just like that.
Just like that. From obviously from behind the cameras, you can't see where the jaw of that pocket is sometimes, but you'll probably see now that it was always going to go in. Sometimes that's why the people watching snooker at home on the television think that the professional snooker players play on bigger pockets, because they're not used to seeing the shot from that position if they were down their local club.
Well, camera angles always do tend to make shots look considerably easier. They don't identify the amount of space between the cue ball and the object ball.
Looks like he's putting a bit of right-hand side on this, but he won't. He'll go across to the left after this. Twitch it round. And he had a big twitch there. Cue ended up sideways, 90 degrees to the shot, which isn't standard textbook play. He was putting left-hand side up, but he aimed on the right, taking the cue across. Look how far that cue went offline. But that's the way he plays his shots. Oh, just asking for the ball to be cleaned. He needs a good contact on this 5. He's going to be playing it with topspin. He doesn't want the cue ball to kick and bounce into an area to the left-hand side of the table. He wants this ball to come straight up in a line up the middle of the table.
This is part of the game, the unforced errors that can creep in. Still, they have to be capitalized on. Strickland knows the importance. He's had 2 mistakes from Paez, and he understands how important it is to capitalize right now, and obviously he's being distracted.
I think a rethink here about the shot he's playing as well. All nice and easy for the Pearl here. He's got his engine started very early today. He had a very good win in his last round. against Luat, 11-9. That must have given him a great deal of confidence. And the crowd, and he hasn't flinched, has he, this lad? Shooting Paul, Earl Strickland style.
World 9-ball championships, that's Ismael Paez, and he's been in that position more than he's been at the table. It's been a dream start for Earl Strickland. 3-0 in front. He'll be breaking off here, rack number 4 in this race to 11.
Table full of talcum powder there, and Earl Strickland having a bit of problem, frustrated about the amount of talcum powder now that's getting on the table. Perhaps Earl's worried about his black glove, ended up the game white. But it can have a problem with the ball. And of course, as we've seen, Paez puts it on his cue, puts that talcum powder on his hands to stop him, the movement of the cue being sticky. But of course, it gets on the table, it gets on the balls. And if, as you rightly mentioned in the interval, Jim, if Paez gets ball in hand and he picks that white ball up, although it may not be likely now, look where that white 9's gone.
Well, this might be a very quick rack. You can see he thought he could just feather that one.
Once again, turning the cue round to try and put... It's just like he never aims on line. It's only at the last minute he gets a shot on line. Strickland, of course, you think he'd go for that 9 straight away, but he hasn't got an obvious way of getting there. So he's just going to try and run a few balls until he gets a better chance to get that 9 in.
May not be too long now, Steve. He's got a choice of playing on the 3 or playing the combination. No, he's going to play the 3 bottom left. So he'll wait until the 5 now.
He must be feeling good now. Dream start for Earl Strickland.
And what's more is he's getting a lot of unforced errors from Paez. That does nothing to hurt Strickland's confidence either.
He's also getting a lot of open table time, and he's getting his cue action going. It's a great feeling when you're playing 9-ball and you're getting open table play. You haven't got to think about the shots. You feel like the best player in the world when you're at the table. Got a bit of work to do with this white ball. Screwing back, deep screw, running side, round the back of the 5. That is a magnificent shot.
And if that isn't a sign that Earl the Pearl is in a fine mood for this semifinal, nothing is the way he played that one. And very quickly, 4-0 to Earl Strickland. He has been in complete command from the outset here, and he'll be breaking in rack number 5.
Paez in danger of being outclassed here today. Marvellous, marvellous shot. There wasn't an easy way to get on that 5. It had to be manufactured. He certainly produced the goods there. Paez sits in his chair and squirms.
He'd certainly like to start this one over again. He's had a few chances, a couple misses, noticeably the 1-2 racks ago, where there was a lot of body movement queuing across the white, and it is so costly in this game of 9-ball. You've really got to keep mistakes to a premium.
Oh, sticking with this left-hand side of the table as we look. He made that 9 move quite a bit last time round. Once again, a bit of action. Being quite fortunate knocking the 1 ball in with the white. And that 3's gone very awkwardly.
Another look at the break-off.
Look at the white and the 1 ball. Or the 2. Well, sorry, we're moving all over the place there. That white just knocked in there by the white ball, the 1.
And the anxious look on Earl's face after he hit the break, Steve. I think he thought that cue ball was headed into the center pocket instead of the 1.
Very close there. Earl's looking at whether he can just knock the 4 ball in with a 3. If he could replace the white ball and put it exactly where it is after putting the 2. This is a very strange rack, the way these balls have opened up.
Well, the 3 ball will certainly hold the key to this frame, but right now Strickland was looking at it to even see if it could be forced. And it looks like he's going to try and play the combination.
He's played a perfect weight on that white. That's ideal. the chances are that if he wasn't anywhere near the cushion, he wouldn't be able to play a shot down the rail. He would go in off. Now I don't know. That 3 may even be embedded in the. I don't think it would. I think if he tries to play that, it's going to come off the rail. It's just on the edge of the bump, which, even though it's supposed to be exactly square, can't help but be bent in a bit with the pressure of the cloth when they pull it tight to stretch it around the cushion. He's playing a safety here. Bumping it off the rail behind the 8. Clever shot. He may just not have done it, and I think Paez may be looking at a 3-9 combination here. Well, perhaps it's too risky, but he does play a risky game.
Well, and what better way to get back into it and regain the initiative than with a fantastic shot to...
He may try and play on the 6 as well, just as sort of bit of no, he's playing a safety. Well, he didn't play a safety. He played a very clever, intelligent shot to nothing. Got to be careful he doesn't leave this 4 out. Oh, now things are going right. Grabs for the chalk. Straight on the case. Not taking any time. Hold your breath. 4 balls down. Probably as quick as Ronnie O'Sullivan plays some of the shots. Oh no. Oh, that's a nightmare.
Well, he can't believe it.
He plays very much on his instincts, Jim, doesn't he?
Well, this shot's still on, Steve, but it's a lot tougher than he would have liked.
Thin cut. Got to trust a bit to luck. If he does play the thin cut, that the white ball doesn't go in one of those large pockets. So what does he do?
Well, that cue ball is going to be racing around. Well, in fact, he's refused it, Steve. That looked like that was still cuttable, even from our overhead perspective, but no one has a better look at it than Paez.
Tried to hide behind the 9, a bit short of pace. And once again, Earl Strickland completely let off the hook. And at this level, a criminal mistake from Paez. Looks like a double. Yeah, I was right. Sensible safety shot from Strickland, keeping the pressure on Paez. And we've seen him misjudge a couple of cuts. Look to see if that cue goes through in a straight line. It's very doubtful. Whether he plays a shot, he'll probably tweak the cue off to our left. He's probably going to have to play, probably forced to play thin, do you think, Jim?
Steve, I don't think he trusts himself to play that shot.
No. If he does, I'm sure you'll see his cue go off from our right to left. Oh. I think he's gone enough again. Oh, that's unlucky, because that was a great shot. Talking about trusting yourself to play a slow, thin shot. The danger, of course, if he missed it completely, was a scratch, a foul, ball in hand. And he'd hidden that ball nearly, I think, from Strickland, but just plopped in the middle pocket again. Not been a friend of his. 5-0. Paez really in deep trouble against Strickland today.
Well, Strickland will show him no mercy whatsoever. The first 5 racks all go to the American. Just the sort of start that Earl would have wanted. And he looks in a very composed and yet focused frame of mind. And when you get Earl Strickland in that sort of mood, few players on the planet can live with him. But still, I don't think there'll be a lot of sympathy in Earl Strickland for Paez. This is all about taking no prisoners. It's a race to 11.
They'll have met before in the past many times.
Rack 6. Earl
Certainly on the American tour. They'll know each
0.
other's games, and be no surprises here to Paez. Well, he's left a shot at the 1, but this isn't easy. Position onto the 2, not straightforward. Oh, that's a great shot. Just doesn't want to be hampered with the 4.
I don't know if he's checked to see if this green 3 goes past the 6. He screwed it back well with the bridging over the 4 there. So once again, Paez gets himself an opportunity to win a rack. Let's see if he can convert this.
He can't afford not to. He desperately needs something with which to try and build a little confidence.
Well, once again, a positional mistake that has made this clearance 5 times harder than it should be.
He may be able to force this with a lot of right-hand spin and get that cue ball out.
Well, the last thing he wants to do is to leave himself this far away from the ball. Halfway up the table wasn't the problem. This is missable, and the way that Paez sometimes jabs at the ball, he could put some unwanted side on. Trying to put a good stroke on this.
Well, he couldn't have hit that any better. And he was down the line to see it had gone in before it did.
He was actually behind the shot there. He'd run around the table and watched from behind the pocket to see if that went in.
Well, this 9 to stop the rot and get out of the gate in this semi-final. Well, finally, Ismael Paez has something to cheer about. Even Earl Strickland and Alex Paguline can applaud that one. 5-1, Strickland leading in this race to 11 first semifinal.
Sandpaper. Bit of Mr. Sheen in there, I think, that make that Q glide stuff.
Talcum powder as well.
Oh, is it talcum powder in there, is it? I thought it might have been sort of I think that's a spray, actually. That sprays a silicon slidey stuff spray, as it's called in the game.
Yeah, they do have some of that. Comes in a little white bottle. I've seen a lot of the players using it.
And Paez now with the break, and that looks a pretty effective break. He'll be frustrated that he hasn't got a ball down off the break, so he goes back to his chair. Changes cues just in case he gets another shot in this rack, probably to put a bit of talcum powder on his hands and hope and pray that Strickland can't manufacture an opening in this 7th rack.
Well, a little divine intervention wouldn't hurt right now for Ismael Paez. Mexico's #1 up against 5-time world champion Earl Strickland. He can't get through to this 1 ball, so he's just sorting out right now where he wants to push out.
Not easy to see where these players decide to push out to. Sometimes they play push outs to actually snooker themselves, so they can play a kick out that they know is a realistic possibility of getting a snooker back. That's a sort of advanced safety play that sometimes they play. He's left Paez a long straight shot that I think Paez will turn down, and now Earl Strickland's got to be very careful if he does decide to play a safety shot that he doesn't double kiss. And what could happen is, by playing the shot, white ball comes down here, yellow ball goes across the table. As it's coming back up again, they can interact with each other. He's just to be careful of that. If he went for the pot, he had to get it. Committed himself. He knew that Paez didn't fancy that pot, but he fancied it himself. But he's missed it. First mistake really from Earl Strickland, although understandable. A tough shot. Paez straight to the table. Hustle and bustle.
Well, they call him the Mexican jumping bean. He plays out of Los Angeles.
Inadvertently cannons into the 8 ball, which has ruined his position very early on. So now position to the 3 isn't a certainty. I think you better draw this back somehow for the 3. Try to make the 9. Try to make the 9, but with position on the 3. Very intelligent shot. 4 balls nicely placed for the 3. Still jabbing them in a bit, but perhaps starting to settle down just a fraction. Although he's still off the pace, leading the match by only 5 frames to 2. Earl Strickland won't feel so comfortable. Paez with the break if he can make these balls. Look at that bridge hand twitching away there. I doubt if he gets a good night's sleep. Do you, Jim? He's tossing and turning all night long.
Well, he'll sleep a lot better if he gets through this one. Got a nice angle on the 8, quickly to the powder and back for the 8. Just off the 2 side cushions should bring the cue ball nicely down for the 9. Well, actually the 9's pretty close to the pocket. He doesn't need to hit this that hard. Even though he did come off the side a little more pace. And we're looking at 5-2. And now so important for Paez, if he can try and sort out a successful break in rack number 8, who's to say he can't claw his way right back into this?
Making Earl Strickland sit in his chair. The worst place for a player in his chair. Earl's concentrating hard. Difficult to say what he's thinking at the moment. I think he's just trying to just focus on the game, wait for his next chance. Not a lot you can do. If Paez breaks off and makes a ball, he's got to sit there
Rack 8 is
for a little bit longer, but
break, trailing by 2 racks
the next chance he gets, he'll be up for it, Strickland.
But Steve, it doesn't look like that same relaxed look that we saw at the start of this match either.
Perhaps not. A load of action on the balls here, and look how they split. Paez's break is more effective than Strickland's. Look at the action there. Oh, dear me, for a split second there, I thought that was Mr. Spock. He was either going to be a snooker, a pool player, or actual
contortionist.
Well, I was going to say a brain surgeon, but not enough trust for the people. He wasn't that steady on the scalpel.
Beautiful shot, containing Strickland. He'll be kicking this one off the top cushion.
Would have been a disaster for Paez had the 8 ball dropped in. Now, will Strickland play a jump shot here? Will he go?
He's looking at the side cushion now, Steve.
I would have thought if there was
just before the center pocket, one would think.
Yeah, clever shot.
Well, being able to read the table and obviously the angles, a major part to being successful at this level.
I think we're going to see Paez stun onto that brown 7. If he can possibly play a shot onto the brown 7 and leave the cue ball there. Could go wrong though. He could go between the gap between the 7 and the 6. Must get the 4 safe as well. Tried to make, well, he tried to make the 8 even. I don't know what happened. Was it a safe? Was it a full-blooded safety shot, or did he have a bit of speculation on his mind there?
I think you had that right. I think he just mishit it. He tried to play a full cannon into the 7 and just pull the white too much. Either way, this is, well.
My goodness, that was a mile away. Wow.
I was just about to say it was going to cost him the rack. That one didn't threaten the corner pocket at all.
Well, once you let your foot off the other guy's neck, sometimes it's hard to get it back there again. great try, but he's ruined it.
Foul.
He's ruined it in one shot, and that's how quickly this game turned. Not as bad a shot as Earl Strickland's by any means, but he had to try and make the best of that situation. And now Strickland's got the 4-9 combination, and very quickly he'll forget that poor miss on the 4, because it's now very much his friend.
Just one good shot, and that bad miss won't have come into play at all for Strickland. 9 down, back into the comfort zone, 4 racks in front, and Earl the Pearl will be breaking off in rack number 9.
How quickly the full change in this game compared to snooker, Jim. You just don't get this much of a turnaround, but apart from the colours in a frame of snooker.
Yeah, we've seen dramatic matches certainly over the years in some epic battles on the snooker table, but in this here, it's just like you say, Steve. You know, one bad shot from Strickland, he's got away with it, not left anything easy, comes back to the table and looks at the 4-9 combination.
Crazy game sometimes, but absolutely fascinating. And I know there's so many viewers on Sky Sports have been riveted the whole week to this tournament. It's a couch potatoes dream, a 9-ball pool tournament. It really is. So, Earl the Pearl makes a red 3. Bit fortunate, I suppose, but you've got a lot of action on the balls. The more they're bouncing around the table, the more chance of ball going in a pocket. Going to cut this one in, very fine cut. Worried about this position.
Not too bad.
Goes past the 8.
He doesn't have to do too much with the white. You can see the pink 4, that'll be next, top left, and
he's got to be careful. Perhaps he doesn't hide behind the 6. That may be his worry here. I'm not sure. I think that's going to go through the gap, the path of the white ball. It's going to go through this gap here towards the green 6 anyway. And he's just gone wrong, but got away with it.
he did get away with that. I think he intended cannoning the 6 full ball and flicking it another half a roll. He'd have found himself buried behind the 7.
Just a little bit shaky at the moment. Just a fraction. And
I think he recognizes that too. He's just taking a little extra time here, asked for the white to be cleaned. I think he's a little edgy.
And he's got a lead that he knows he wants to protect for the whole match. So sometimes that's even, you know, you're going to be more edgy there than you would be if you were 6-2 behind and nothing to lose. He's got to keep his finger on the pulse. And he has done with that shot, I think. Very nicely coming round. Doesn't want to be dead straight on this 6. He's got enough angle to run round off the bottom and side cushions out into the middle of the table.
He is one of the best pure potters in the game.
A lot of speculation that he's past his best, Jim. But I think in the game of 9-ball, the knowledge that Earl's picking up over the years is holding him in good stead. He is a great shot maker. He's been around for a number of years at the top of the game, and it's a testament for how long he's been there that he's still here. In the semi-finals of the World Pool Championships, and Earl Strickland goes into a 7-2 lead here in Cardiff.
In the driver's seat at the moment, the look from Earl the Pearl Strickland. And certainly comparing that, contrasting looks to Ismael Paez, one of concern. 7-2 behind.
Earl Strickland to break.
Right now, Ismael Paez has to try and find the solution. Been a few hiccups from Strickland, Steve, but in fairness, the scoreline a pretty true indication of the way this match has gone.
Yes, and he does look the class horse of the two, as I open my mouth and he decides to go over the hurdles. I imagine in both these gentlemen's careers that Earl Strickland has been a Class A player all his career, and Paez, even though he has a great talent, probably hasn't won a vast array of tournaments.
No, you're right about that, and certainly nothing in recent years. His last big win, the Japan Open.
Here we go.
1989, the
4-9.
4-9.
Oh.
It might be now.
Nothing's going right for Paez. He's just quickly round there to hope that Strickland can't make a 4-9 combination himself, but I think he can. He'll just put a fraction of side spin. If he can't get past there, fraction of right-hand side spin on the ball. Just a bit, and he's in there with an 8-2 lead.
One-way traffic for Strickland right now.
That should have been 7-3. It's really been a bad day at the office for Paez. He should have made that ball. He'd be very frustrated with himself. He just hung in the jaws. He ran round the table to check whether he'd hooked Earl Strickland, but he hadn't. Strickland gratefully receives another rack.
Still seems like he's being put off a little bit, though. But we've seen this in every match from him. He doesn't mind getting involved with the audience, whether it's on a negative note or a positive note. He'll offer his hand and appreciation when he clears up, but he can still play and maintain concentration even doing this.
Well, he does take notice of two ball going in. He does take notice of comments that the crowd make, and of course the crowd are going to make comments, and of course if one just rubs him up the wrong way, then it's all off in his mind. And a very funny incident, one of the Moscone Cups one year in Dagenham, was somebody, obviously, you know, the Europeans and the crowd at Dagenham cheering for the European team, and all of a sudden somebody said something. We still don't know what it was, but Earl got his cue and he just held it in two hands and said, "Yeah, you want some of this?" and was ready to have a fight with the guy. He's having that 3 clean there. Not too sure why having the 3 cleaned.
Well, either way, he's going to be looking at a 1-6 combination here. And it looks like it has to be made, not set.
In doing this, he's going to be moving the 3, hitting fairly fully into the 1. The 1's going to stay roughly where it is. Three in the middle of the table now. That's why he didn't hit that hard. The shot before too hard. Everything out in the open.
It's not been an inspirational performance to this point in this first semi-final here, but having said that, Strickland will take it. I don't know if he'd be too happy with this one.
No, he's going to be desperately sad about that. But I think Strickland got a lot of confidence from beating Louat. I think he was a bit worried about the Louat match. He felt that he had the hardest match of the draw. Oh,
and the emotion that he showed afterwards, I think, really showed that.
You know, Strickland made a 9-ball, a critical time in that game to go 10-8, I think. And he was screaming at the balls and screaming at himself. Raw aggression coming out of his body, and it was 10-9, I think it was. I can't remember exactly where it was. He's massaging round to hit the cushion first, knock the 4 in. Perfect shot.
Well, he was leaning, willing that cue ball round the 9, but what a shot here on the 4.
Oh, a master at work, I'm telling you. You know, they always talk about the greats of this game being great shot makers, and Earl Strickland is one of the greatest shot makers. Superb control on the cue ball there. The skill that goes into those shots. He's got to do another one. Jumping or swerving, not sure. A jump double. Oh, it's just a marvellous shot. And he's still going to pull out another one. The crowd are loving that. What a great jump double. Over the top of the 9. Who would have thought of that?
Well, even Paez has to enjoy this. How often can Earl Strickland get out of jail here?
The jump shot was, the jump stick was because of me.
Yeah, pretty soon he's saying to the crowd, he might as well just play with a jump stick. Nasse jump shot, and this one has to be a perfectly judged kick. Too close to the 9 to jump over it. Has he got one more in his bag of tricks?
I wouldn't put it past him. He's going to pull out something special here. I doubt very much if we'll see him going for anything. He may feel lucky, you know, and just bash this. Ooh, that's unusual.
Foul.
Went to the well just once too often, Steve. In the end, a gilt-edged opportunity for Ismael Paez to slot his 3rd rack.
Earl was very unfortunate after playing, you know, perhaps one of the greatest shots we've seen in this tournament, that he drew that ball back and snookered himself behind the 9.
This long 9.
Do you know, Paez has started to enjoy this. I know it sounds strange. He's in a position now where he knows he's probably going to lose, but he's just going to be in perhaps the same situation as I was against Efren Reyes. Just go out and enjoy it. And all of a sudden he started smiling to himself a bit more. Just started to think, well, I've got nothing to lose. Let's see what can occur.
Well, at 8-3, he knows he'll be breaking in rack number 12. And we've seen some terrific comebacks in this.
Just watch this shot he plays here, Strickland. Jumping over the side of the 9 to hit that 5 ball straight. He's got backspin on the ball, and sadly for Earl Strickland, it just went behind the 9. Had to try and separate the distance between the balls. You see that cue ball there with a side spin on, eventually coming backwards.
Rack 12, Ismael Paez to break, trailing by 3 racks to 8.
Well, just the tonic for an ailing Ismael Paez now is a solid break.
He got one, but nothing's gone in.
Well, you heard him walk away. He says, all yours, Earl. Almost a sign of resignation from Paez. He hasn't had a lot of running, but he has been the author of some of his own mistakes and misgivings.
Couldn't really ask for the balls to be spread about better, other than the 7, which is covered a bit by the 8, but for a player of Earl Strickland's class, I don't think it was going to prove too much of a problem. He's got to get, later on in this clearance, he's got to get from that green 6 to get on the brown 7. I think probably he'll just play in between the cushion and the 8 ball, just down to that area. And if we have a look at our overhead table, I think you'll probably see, once potting this green 6, just to put the white ball in this area, something like that.
Sure, you'll leave the angle to get there, Steve.
He may come out in the middle of the table, but it seems quite a natural way to go up towards that middle pocket. Be unfortunate to go in off like Paez did earlier. Perhaps a fraction of left-hand spin. And now he doesn't have to play to get this black 8 into the same pocket as the brown 7. You just stun the white ball dead. The long 8. 2 balls away from a 9-3 lead. Race to 11.
This guy's going to try everything in the world.
He's having a chat to somebody about something. He loves it. He absolutely loves it out there.
Yeah, 9-3 confirmed now. Earl Strickland still having a little banter. He says the people are moving, but I'll tell you one thing, he's moving closer to the finish line in this one. It was a race to 11.
You take 2 steps forward, smile, and turn on the lights.
There in the well, I said second time, it's the 2000 World 9-Ball Championships. But I'll tell you what, you can hear all that noise in the background. That's just how hard it's raining here in Cardiff.
The heavens have opened in Cardiff.
Rack 13.
There's a ray of
Earl
sunshine
Strickland to
shining
break,
on this
leading
man.
by 9 racks to 3.
Well, Steve, I can't get the year right, but I'll tell you one thing. This would be Strickland's 6th world title. Should he go through to win this match and complete it in the final, and he would match your world championship count. An even dozen between you. Came up empty, but what a chance for Paez here. The only problem ball is that red 3, top of the table. I don't know whether it offers a combination to the green 6 or not.
He hasn't taken much time working it out, whichever way. The safety shot looks using the 6 as a form of braking, and just going behind that 8 would be the shot that I'd immediately think of. Try to make the 6. Oh! Make the 6, stay position on the 3, 4 goes past the 7. Side spin there to take it off the cushion towards the 4. And from what looked like an impossible rack clearance, he's got a chance to steal one.
Well, that 9 poses some problems. He's got to miss it here, or is he going to try and draw off it?
Playing behind
beautifully, beautifully played. It's the only shot, the only way he could get on the 5 there.
Just picking up a bit of that talcum powder that's landed on the table. Got to float this down the rail. Make sure he doesn't hit the bump of that middle pocket. Sometimes that corner jaw can come into contact with the ball. He was very close to catching it as well. Twice across the table possibly for the black 8. And now perhaps running round off 2 cushions, possibly using 3 cushions for the 9. Under hit a bit there. Just going to make it. Oh, he's got a nasty smell up his nose there. Still got that fly on it, I think, from yesterday.
Ooh. He's buzzing now, Ismael Paez. 9-4 Strickland. He'll be breaking in rack number 14. He's got to make some headway into that deficit. He's got to get the brake clicking, and he can't afford any more mistakes. What a great shot here, playing the cannon to knock in the 6. Got a little lucky holding position onto the 3, but who would begrudge him that?
Yeah, I didn't think that 6 was a possibility. I thought it was going to hit the cushion too early up the rail. Oh, this guy's a master on a pool table, but I'd love to see him on a snooker table. He'd probably play great stuff as well, but he'd certainly be entertaining.
Rack 14 is Ismael Paez to break, trailing by 4 racks to 9.
Very difficult to make the transition from one game to the other anyway. I've played a fair bit of pool in my time. I know you have, Jim. You can't just come to the game and expect to play quality stuff without learning the trade. So a lot of these pool players, even though they look a bit unorthodox, I think perhaps if they went to the snooker table, he's got some side spin on there, and that white ball nearly went in. I think you'd see some of the pool players changing their technique slightly to be a little bit more solid on the shot, which is what's required at snooker. Fairly flat tip on his cue, he says.
Trifle unlucky there. cannoning into the 3 and really taking himself out of position. Now,
what's he doing? What's he doing, Jim? Is he going to play a snooker behind the 5?
Well, I think that's what he's going to try and do. Pull the white over, maybe even cannon the 5 to put it behind the 9. I think he'd be happy with that.
I think he'd be delighted with that. Paez cannot afford to let Earl Strickland have one more rack. He doesn't want to let him get any closer to that 11 racks he needs. 9-4 the score as we speak. 9-5. All of a sudden, Paez may think, well, you never know.
Well, like you say, knowing that Strickland still requires 2 for a place in the finals, just gives you that little added comfort if you know you can hold him at bay.
And he's got him in a good hook here. Strickland may be forced to go off the short cushion, which is not ideal. Very difficult to judge anything like this. That's a difficult escape. He'd like to come off the side cushion around here, but he can't really see a way then of, you know, perhaps coming off the table. This is what he'd have to do, and that's just, you know, that's just leaving it to luck. But I think any shot now that Earl Strickland plays will have to be, he's going to play a deliberate foul here, perhaps tie up the 9, tie up the 5.
Foul?
Oh, he didn't want to double kiss it either. That's a complete disaster. And a presentation of the frame, all being well for Ismael Paez.
Well, you can see Strickland obviously sensing that there's an awful lot of fight in the Mexican champion yet. And he still does have the handles on this match, Steve. He doesn't want to relinquish control to Paez.
Paez bags of experience and seems to have a good sense of humour, which I think you probably need to play 9-ball pool. But he will smell the fact that he's in now with a chance in this match. He's just sensing that perhaps there's a change in the flow of the game, and that Earl Strickland has finally come up a bit dry on some of his shots. And all Ismael Paez can do is to keep on playing and see if he keeps on getting the breaks. He's left himself a, what on a snooker table would be a risky shot, but on a pool table should be a certainty. Stroking this in. Never in doubt, and the crowd starting to get behind Paez. That will help him a bit. He hasn't had much support here this afternoon, but now he's just got a bit more body action, a bit more authority about his walk. Expect him to knock this 8-ball in and come down into the corner. Perhaps even the crowd sensing things are changing.
Ismael Paez on the comeback trail. He's taken the last 2 racks. He'll be breaking in number 15, trailing Earl Strickland 9-5. Strickland with a lot more to think about too right now. Paez has taken the initiative, and now it has to be said, momentum on his side, and Strickland has to just try and maintain a positive frame of mind. This one went all wrong, Steve. You were right. He was just trying to lay that 5 on the 9.
Yes, if he could have got that 5 touching the 9-ball, Paez would then have been forced to play to cannon the ball away after knocking the 3 in.
Ismael Paez to break, trailing by 5 racks to 9.
But this game of 9-ball pool, as we say so many times, changes so quickly. Paez needs to get to 11 racks. In a way, he's 6 good breaks away from winning the match. That's how quickly this game can change. That looks like a very decent break. Another 6 of those, and he makes the balls as well. Incredible turnarounds you have in this tournament.
Well, if you remember, we saw Efren Reyes knock in, I think it was 9 racks against Bustamante last year.
It's very possible.
Earl Strickland has put 10 together to earn $1 million in an event in Texas. Though highly unlikely, it's been done.
Got to make sure he doesn't make the 3 here, or unless he does, he wants to make sure he's on the 5. That's why he's playing it very slowly. He didn't want to make the 3 as well. Then he'd been a long way away from the 5. All going a lot nicer now for Paez. The brown 7 by the middle pocket. A little bit of a problem there. A ball that is currently my problem in the game is a ball by the middle pocket, Jim. Some of the positional shots you have to play around there are a bit tricky sometimes. You haven't got so many positional opportunities now. I think he's going to come and try just to go right across the table in a straight line. Bit close to that middle pocket for comfort here.
And the 7.
He's lost it. And now the thinnest of thin cuts with right-hand side is his only option.
Well, that was a terrific shot. And he's still not out of the woods yet. Look at this pot from Paez here.
But he's hustling and bustling again, with running side off 2 cushions to bring the white ball out into the middle of the table for the 9. There's the running side coming across the table nicely. How this game turns. Paez now looks in complete control and enjoying himself as well. That's the difference. At the start of the match he wasn't enjoying things. Now he's loving it out there, absolutely loving it.
And 9-6 to Strickland. Ismael Paez will be breaking in rack number 16. The 2009 ball championships here of the world. Earl Strickland finding himself with a little bit of bother now. He was enjoying a 9-3 lead. It's been pegged back. Now 9-6.
Rack 16.
And Ismael Paez has really been dictating the pace from that point on. All of a sudden, you just get the feeling that this diminutive Mexican starts to fancy the challenge.
And he's got the break to do it as well. He's had more action off the break, moved more balls around and made more balls. Look at him winding up here. Just when he needed one, he hasn't got one. But look at the tricky 4, 6 and 9 there. A little bit of security for Paez. Didn't get the same type of response from the balls that he had on a couple of others. No player in the world can guarantee striking the balls exactly the same. Although I played Efren Reyes earlier in this tournament, and I think 5 racks on the trot, the balls were played, he split the balls exactly the same every time.
And finished on a ball. Yeah. Almost the same ball every single time, Steve. I commentated that one as well.
Safety play from Strickland. Tried to cover it up behind the bunch of balls down by that pocket. He's been a bit unfortunate that he's left the one, but in a way he won't mind too much. That there is a possibility that it could all go wrong for Paez in trying to extricate himself from this position. But I think Paez can perhaps screw the 1 ball behind the brown 7, come out in the middle of the table. The 2 is obviously a possibility onto the 8. So what we're looking at doing here for Paez, round the back to the side cushion and out somewhere into the middle of the table for that 2. Now he's left himself a bit of length on this makeable combination. But he will be nicely on the 2 should he make it. The balls will come out properly for he hit this very softly. He played a safety, Jim.
And not a bad one. That goes right against the grain with the way that he's been playing throughout this event. Very aggressive by nature.
But do you know why he's played the safety? Of course, because the 4's in no potable position. Silly us, silly me. Oh, he's hit that's the 8 first, and it's all going wrong for Strickland. Strickland looking at the person who clapped in the crowd, absolutely furious that somebody would be so unsporting to clap a mistake. and that won't help his cause at all. He certainly doesn't like bad sportsmanship, Strickland.
He's one of the first to applaud when his opponent makes a good clearance, or in fact a good shot. So you talk about Earl being a sportsman, and there's no question there.
Strickland on 1 foul, and because of the position of that 4, that pink 4, Paez will go for the 3 foul rule. 3 fouls and you lose the rack. Puts him tight behind the 3 ball, stopping him from going in the same escape. He tried to get it close to the 8 as well. Strickland now probably, if we could see how tight yes, probably, I doubt if Strickland can get to this part of the cushion to play some sort of escape this way, so he's going to have to go down the table. Touching, I would think. So close. So Strickland looking at a 1 cushion escape, straight up and down the table. 1 cushion escape, straight up and down the table. Nothing simple about this shot, though, bridging over the top of the ball. He's miles out. Well, not miles out, but enough.
Foul.
And now, Paez is now looking for his 3rd foul stroke. How can he extricate 1 more foul from Earl Strickland? He's got this lovely area here. He's got this lovely area here to try and get behind, but can he get there? What do you think, Jim?
Well, I'll tell you what, he's looking at the pink 4 right now, the possibility of making the 2 and the 3 and getting that cue ball into an area close to where you just had it, Steve, to lay a real good one on the pink 4.
Of course, the 3 consecutive fouls, they don't have to be, they can be interspersed with a couple of pots from the other guy. It doesn't have to be a foul off of this next shot of Paez's. He can, 3 consecutive fouls from Earl Strickland. He's on 2 fouls. His next shot at the table, if it were a foul at any time, even if it were on just the 9 and the white and the 9 left.
Yeah, it's 3 fouls on consecutive visits.
Exactly. He's going to pot this 2. Looks it anyway. He's trying to split them up. Well, he's got the split. He's moved the 4. He's got the possible bank on the 3 that you would expect him to get. He straightened it up too much. Straightened the shot up too much. He's left possibilities of a bank on the 4 now for Strickland. Certainly the chances gone of the 3 foul rule. I think he should have tried to get the 3 fouls.
I do. I think Earl's got to feel like he was let off the hook there.
Make the guy work for it there. But of course, you know, he probably fancied that double. He fancied the bank. Strickland going to try and play the 4. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. But where's that white ball going? He's trying to guide it behind the 9 with his body.
Well, I think he's going to put his back out before he gets the cue ball behind that 9 there. He's left Paez an open 3.
Paez has quite an easy clearance here, although it doesn't look it. You can see where that 4 is. If he can get the white ball back over the table on the same line as that white ball is now for the 4, he's got a lovely route to then come back out into the middle of the table. So, smoothly with a 3 across the table, bringing the cue ball back just off the cushion for the 4. Absolutely perfect. 2 cushions to bring the white ball out into the middle of the table for the easy 5 in the middle. Doesn't want to go too far. A nice draw back across the table. Just to the side cushion. You may not want to go too close to the cushion here with this, Jim. You may want to have an angle to bring the white ball out across the face of the 9 and now keep the same side of the 9 as he is at the moment. Just stun the ball across to leave himself an angle on that 7. Looks like he may be going for follow through. This is a bit more risky, and it was, but he's got away with it, and all of a sudden Lady Luck is changing sides here. Who would have predicted 7-9?
Well, it doesn't matter how you write this one. Ismael Paez has shown a lot of character. He wouldn't throw in the towel. Could have been so easy to do at 9-3.
He's made a lot of friends this week here. everybody's enjoyed his style of play, and he's a friendly character. He's certainly given the crowd here in Cardiff value for money.
And he's shown a few trick shots on one of the outside tables, Steve, that I'll tell you what, makes you want to pick your eyes out and throw them away because you will have seen it all. And that 9 confirms now Paez 9-7. He is right on the heels of Earl Strickland. It's a race to 11. And this one is heating up to be a real tough one to call.
It is, and Earl Strickland has stalled. He's got to start that engine again, and quickly. Earl Strickland trying to squeeze between that 8 ball. That was the first foul I think he made. This was the second foul. Just got a bit too much on the cue ball, went a bit wide there. And we were looking for the third foul, but perhaps Paez thought that he couldn't get an easy snooker. Unfortunate for Strickland that 4 didn't drop in. The next time Strickland
Rack
comes
17,
to the table,
Ismael Paez
maybe
to break,
a while
trailing by
away.
7 racks to 9.
What a bizarre match that the next time he comes to the table is to shake hands with Paez. Oh, Paez very close to going in that middle pocket with the white. The balls are going in weird positions here. Oh, and he's got a result of all time. The 2 goes past the 7. The only problem perhaps is the 7 is lumbered up behind that 8 ball.
Well, he'll already have had a look at it. You can see the 2 available. Doesn't have to do much to get on the 3. So what ball is he going to attack the 7 with?
Well, the 9's in open play as well. The 9 quite close to a pocket, but there's going to be a difficult shot ahead for Paez. How is he going to get that 7 out, Jim?
Well, it looks like it may. Well, yeah, there's a man that's going to be in the other semi-final, Steve, and
there's a man who knows how to get a ball out. He's a clever player. He may only be, I think, 23 years old, but he's learnt his trade very well. Living the shot. He's playing on the table straight after this game, but he looks relaxed and just enjoying the atmosphere.
And he's made a lot of friends here this week too, as Corey Dewell.
Yes, him and Alex Pagulayan, I think, have captured the hearts of some of the younger members of our audience. They've been very friendly towards the local people here. And there's a great banter amongst the pool players. They hang around the tournament, they get involved, they want to be part of it. It's a wonderful place, the Cardiff International Arena this week, with the pool village on the side that gives everybody a chance to come down and knock some pool balls and interact with the top players and watch them play trick shots. How's he going to get this 7 out? Earl Strickland must be praying that he doesn't find the solution to this problem.
Well, he's going to be waiting to the 6 now. So if he can get straight, Steve, which is what it looks like he's accomplished here, he might be able to just run this right down.
What a way to clear them this would be.
Well, he knows the cue ball is going to be very close to the 7.
He's playing the 7 off the 9. He's going to stun the 7 off the 9. He's stunning the 7 off the 9. It's obvious. Earl's. Can't see past Michaela's hair there for it.
But he wants to.
7 off the 9 clears the path of the 8. Drawing it back. He's going to stun it dead. He's not happy with it, but I think it's going to go.
It looks like it's almost a dead-on hit.
Yeah, he's just worried about where he should leave. Perhaps he should. Oh my goodness! Why didn't he just screw it back? Why didn't he screw back and then he'd have had the open pot? Now he's got a tricky shot with the balls close to each other. The possibility of a... Why didn't he screw that one back? Now he's got... Just make sure he doesn't push the shot.
Well, when you see Ismael Paez raise the butt of the cue in the air like that, these are shots that he plays all day in trick shots. But this is a major match.
Oh! And Earl's just dropped his head.
Well, look at Paez and look at Strickland. Talk about a contrast in facial expressions there.
What a turnaround with this game. And Paez is milking it as well. He's not going to play it too quickly. Earl is squirming now.
Oh, that same pocket that gobbled up the cue ball. The 9 down. Paez just 1 rack away from tying it up against the Pearl. And look at Earl Strickland's face. He can't believe it.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve. This is all heating up to be a classic. And look at the shot he played. As you said, why he didn't just draw the cue ball back to play the 8 to the same pocket, we'll never know.
But the trouble, what's happened as a result of that, he's given Earl a thought that perhaps he's now going to miss it. But now by playing the great shot, once again the crowd have now on his side. I don't think he meant it that way, but that's worked in his favour.
Psychologically, it was a double blow. Now Paez all set to break off. Rack 18 of a possible 21. Hold your breath.
Yes, he's got one and he's calling them now. What a match. Oh, just cannot do a thing. Earl sitting in his chair, he's just got to pay the price.
And I can tell you, I was watching Earl Strickland. He was leaning, he was out of his chair when he saw the position of the balls. He rested back in to get comfortable.
Paez, as we speak, doing everything right. The ball's now going in the pockets quite sweetly. And even though that cue action is still suspect on a snooker table, it started to become effective in this match. Perhaps a bit of a problem getting from the 3 to the 4, but after some of the shots that Paez has extricated as the rain comes down once again here in Cardiff, I don't think we'll see Paez too far away from this pink 4. Bit short of pace, just enough to cut that 4 down the rail, bring the white ball out into open play for the 5. No mistakes now. They're going closer to the jaws. 4 balls away from 9-9.
Talcum time. He'll be making a few more visits. If he gets his wish, he'll be making a lot of visits back to that table for some powder.
Tell you what, he may even have to go down to Boots to get another bottle. He may be involved later this evening at this rate. Oh, every one of these is hurting Earl. Earl's then praying that the ball doesn't go in. The worst thing that could happen to a player sitting in your chair thinking he's hit that badly and then it all of a sudden gives up. Players laughing and smiling and loving it.
These are punishing blows to Strickland, as you said, Steve.
Going, this could miss, and oh, of course it didn't miss. As long as you hit the ball the right speed, it gives a chance for those pots to go in. Bit too close to the green 6 for comfort, but you wouldn't expect him to make his chair. And Strickland's now, he just wants to look at the 3. He's just, please miss, says Strickland. But he's not going to Paez, and a great positional shot through the gap there. Look at the smile on his face. He's a different man from earlier in this match, and he's deserved his chance to win this tournament.
And would you believe it? This 9, we've played 18 racks and there is nothing in it. It is effectively reduced now to a 2 out of 3 for a place in the World Final. 9-9, Paez and Strickland. Cardiff, it's the 2000 World 9-Ball Championships, and Steve, this is where it all turned around.
That was rack 13 when Earl Strickland was 9-3 in front, and he came up dry on the break. And from that moment on, Ismael Paez has forced his way back into this game. 9-9. The Mexican flag there, all ready to be raised high.
Rack 19, Ismael Paez to break. 9-6.
Paez has had to wait for the interval. He would have liked to have got on with it. But the crowd are fully on Ismael Paez's side. They've appreciated Earl Strickland early in this game, but they've loved the heart that this man's put into the latter stages of this match. And look at his face. He just wants a good break here. Winding himself up. The one goes in the middle. The two's coming around the table. Looks good. It looks excellent. There's nothing Earl Strickland can do about this whatsoever.
Once again, I was watching Strickland. He was leaning forward, ready to get out of his chair. He wanted a good look. As soon as he saw Paez had finished on the lowest ball remaining, he just settled back in. It's completely out of his hands.
And if Paez can hold himself together here, talking of comebacks, in the semi-finals of the World Championship, this would be a big, big story.
And there is no obstacles here. All Paez has to do is control that little man inside.
Perhaps sneak through the gap here between the 7 and the 5 with running side. I'm not too sure. Rain coming down. No, he's playing it in the corner, of course. Sorry, miles away here. Bit too close to the 4 for comfort. But I think he can cut that ball in, going to his table. Another ounce of talcum powder goes onto his hands there. This is cuttable. The only problem with cutting a ball this thin, that the white ball's going to be careering around the table. And he's got to try and work a path out where it doesn't collide with another ball. And plan a route to that 5. It may not be as thin as we think on our television screens, but I think he's probably going to have to go in between the 5 and brown 7 and back out into the middle of the table. Something along the lines of this would possibly get him on the 5. Oh, he cannoned into the 5. I think he knows how lucky he was there. Very close to going in off. He's left himself a lot harder opportunity now. This is missable.
He's doing precious little wrong right now. Ismael Paez has shown us the heart of a lion in this semifinal. The last 6 racks in a row he's taken.
He needs to cue this well. Playing with backspin, right-hand side, to flick the white ball out into the middle of the table again. Needs to put a smooth stroke on it. Never in doubt there. And the only problem is the possibility that he doesn't get from the 8 to the 9. But as we've said many times before, a player of his vast experience shouldn't have too much of a problem getting back up the table. Just got to concentrate on this 7 ball. And that is the Achilles heel of Paez. I suspected at some stage a bit of movement in the body.
I certainly didn't expect it on that shot, though, Steve. That was an open pot, bridging comfortably on the table. And Strickland has spent such a long time in his chair now. As we see Paez, he knows he hasn't left Earl anything easy.
Well, don't worry about that. I fancy Strickland. I fancy Strickland to knock this 8 ball in. Oh, that's unfortunate. He's knocked both in. Now he's not on the 9. Oh, he could never have envisaged that. Oh, now, the greatest shot maker in the world has a shot of the 9. There's nowhere safe but the double's on. He looks cool and calm. I know he's going to play and double the ball back into this corner pocket here. The long double.
And how about this at 9-9, Steve?
He tried to cut. Oh, no!
Would you believe it? Straight in off into the center pocket. The pocket that haunted Paez early. The final chapter is yet to be written, but the 11th hour has seen that pocket jump up and grab Strickland by the throat.
Oh, and look at the fans in the crowd. They cannot believe it. It was one of the greatest shots of Earl Strickland's career to cut the 9-ball in. He played it superbly well. He couldn't have wished for a worse outcome.
He's seen many things in his career. I don't think he's seen anything quite as cruel as that.
Paez can't believe it. He was laughing, not in a nasty way about the fact. He just can't believe that the way the game's gone. He must be wondering now what's going on. Perhaps I'm fated to win this match. From 9-3 behind, Paez now 10-9. 2 bites at the cherry, and he's got the break. Trying for the 9. He gave it everything. He's got the 1. And the 2-9 combination is a possibility with the 3 tight. He'll go for the 2-9 combination.
And he's just nodded his head.
2 shots away from victory. This would be a phenomenal upset. He's left himself a little bit of a problem now. He wanted to be in straight lines with that.
Look at the determination on Ismael Paez's face.
I reckon he's 50-50 to get this. Take your time, Paez, he says to himself. He's laughing and joking. There's people moving behind, cameramen moving, and that was very upsetting. But Paez hasn't let it affect him. He's laughed at the... He knows how exciting this game is.
He is enjoying this, but he'll enjoy it so much more if he plants that 9 to the bottom of this corner pocket.
One of our photographers from Japan, I think, moving on the shot there. Paez has done the impossible.
Unbelievable mayhem here in Cardiff. The Mexican flag up, Ismael Paez on cloud 9. An 11-9 win over Earl Strickland. He took the last 8 racks in a row. The shock of shocks here in Cardiff, and he is through to the final. And he is through because of a terrific performance, capped off with a beautiful combination. 2-9 to seal victory over 5-time world champion Earl Strickland. Well, number 6 isn't going to happen this week, Steve.
That was just cruel on Earl Strickland. He had a great 9 on. He had what looked like an impossible situation to going off into that middle pocket. He struck that 9 perfectly well. What a tragedy for Earl Strickland and American fans of the pool game. But like the true champion he is, signing autographs for the kids, and he won't, in one respect, he'll know how well Paez has played to get to this stage. So tremendous match. It's been a privilege to be part of watching this, and a great day's commentary for us.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and obviously handshakes and high fives all around for Paez. Strickland, he'll be back. Don't worry about that. But it's Ismael Paez through to the final.
World Pool Championships, and a great moment for him. All the fans very much behind him here. I think they appreciated the play of both players, but it really was a terrific match for the man from Mexico, who, as I say, these days is in Los Angeles. Ismael, well played. It was a great match.
Yes, I hope, I believe I played good match.
You were 9-3 down.
Yes.
Did you think you were beaten, or did you keep thinking, I can win?
Well, when I play this sport all the time, I think like a warrior. I never surrender. I believe, and I can do everything right in the last moment.
And you keep going, and the crowd here gave you good support. The fans were
all
cheering
the time. You know, I'm very proud to be here in this country because I never see people like other countries support the sport like that.
Wow.
It made me feel great because my favorite hobby, my favorite sport is billiards.
Terrific, yeah. They call you the jumping bean, the Mexican jumping bean, because you're so busy around the table and you play so fast.
That's right. I play so fast most of the time, but this time play a little more slow.
A little slower, yeah. Okay,
slow.
you're through to the final. You've beaten Earl Strickland. Now it's Chow against Corey Jewell. Who do you think will win? Who will make it to the final against you?
Well, I have a nice experience with Chow before. We played in the Peace Cup in Taiwan.
Yeah.
He beat me in the final 1 second. He won first, so it's got great players. I think Chow is favored.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah, I think Chow is favored.
Well, Ismael, thank you for joining us. We wish you well for the final tonight, and terrific stuff. Well done. Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, and well done.
Okay.
Stay there just for a second, because we can now go off to our second semi-final.